So, hey, everybody, welcome to our initial first launch of the Copeland Podcast / videocast / whatever we feel like doing to provide some information out there. We love technology. We love helping people leverage technology to improve their lives, improve their business. And we are going into a different place here with this video and this content. We're going into the shopping season and helping all of you with what we call the gaming world and what you can do during the season to either make someone's holiday season brighter or deal with something like the pandemic we got going on, since this is November 2020, and you're gonna have some time on your hands. We're gonna provide you some information on some gaming systems. So today we've got myself, Eric Poza, president of Copeland Technology Solutions. Also with us is Josh Grabowski and
Hello.
Mike Lobacharo. I'll let you guys
Hello.
introduce yourselves. We'll start off in alphabetical order. Josh.
Sweet. So hello, I am Josh Grabowski. I am a technical account manager at Copeland Technology Solutions.
All right, cool. And then Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike. I am the team leader of, I don't know what my technical term,
Customer support team.
customer support team lead. That's what it is.
Because we don't have just smaller titles anymore. We've got the long stuff.
You never got me the plaque to put on my desk, so I didn't know what I was supposed to call myself.
All right, noted. We'll get back to that one. So, guys, both of you, thanks for being with me.
Of course.
Not only am I interested in helping other people and our community navigating technology and nerdy stuff, this one's very selfish for me because I have 3 kids. I used to be big into the gaming systems back in the day, SimCity back on the computer, Nintendo, Game Boy, Sega, Atari, Pong. I loved Pong. Lots of games back in the day. I have since had children, which definitely changes your priorities. And I have fallen away from what is cool, what it works, and what provides the best value. So we're here with you two to help me and our listeners and viewers navigate this. So let's just start off. Josh, we'll start off with you again. We'll hit the alphabetical order thing.
Sure.
Let's just start down with a breakdown of some. Give us a couple of systems today that people should have their eyes on. Then we'll go over to Mike and we'll get into some more detail.
Sure. Yeah. So this holiday season, predominantly you're going to see on a lot of the Christmas lists, you'll have Sony's PlayStation 5 and you'll have Microsoft's Xbox Series X and Microsoft Xbox Series S. Amazing. I nailed that down first try. And the Nintendo Switch as well as the Nintendo Switch Lite. And I'm going to speak, strictly between Sony and Xbox because these consoles just released a few weeks ago. This is really the first real time, at least in my opinion, where next gen actually feels like next generation. What I mean by that is, now these consoles, they're able to support, much higher frame rates, much higher, much better video quality. The new Xbox and PlayStation also finally have solid state drives, which, hasn't been a thing ever. So, gone are the days where you have load times pretty much. These new systems are definitely a big jump from generation to generation, where before, at least I feel like they were much smaller leaps from generation to generation.
Understood. And just like computers, SSD drives being solid state, no mechanical components to it, much faster, just like your PCs. We don't really recommend ever getting spinning stuff.
Correct.
Great.
Yeah,
cool.
Absolutely. And then as far as, pricing goes, I'll just speak, there's multiple iterations of each system. So you have your PS5, which is going to start up at $500 if you go with the console that has a disc slot or a disc drive on it. They also have a digital only offering, which is going to be $100 less. It's going to be $399.99. Microsoft has a very similar layout where they have their new Xbox Series X, which is their, I guess we'll call it flagship for this generation, which is $499.99. And they also have their Series S, which is going to be similar in PlayStation, where it's a digital only console. There's also some hardware differences on the inside as to what it can output video wise, which we'll get into later. And that's going to be $299.99. And you also have your
just for the people who don't know,
Mhm.
digital only. What does that mean?
Sure. Yeah. So digital only, what that's going to mean is, as far as purchasing games, you're only going to be able to purchase them from the either Sony store or the Microsoft store, and download the game onto the console and launch it that way. Additionally, some retailers have just like kind of similar to how you have like gift cards nowadays. Digital titles will have like codes on the back of them, and you could buy a card at like a Best Buy or a Target or something like that. But digital is strictly you buy it on the store, you have it on the console, you don't have that disc. So if you're ever looking to, I guess, almost like lend a game to a friend or something like that, you don't really have that option, as everything is going right from the internet to your console, and that's
Gotcha.
where it lives.
Great.
And then just to finish up, you have the Nintendo Switch, which is $299.99, which is Nintendo's offering, which is still next gen, but it is a few years older at this point. And they also have the Nintendo Switch Lite, which is a portable only version of the Nintendo Switch, and that's $199.99.
Cool. Now, Mike, on your side, do you have anything to add to what Josh supplied just now?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. Your flagship, really powerful 4K high frame rate consoles you're going to be $499.
Mhm.
They're going to be really hard to find this holiday season.
Mhm.
Nintendo Switch should be a little bit easier to find as it's a couple of years older.
Understood. Cool. So if so you kind of mentioned what the actual device comes with, some game information, frame rate, obviously we're talking about graphics and how things look. When we go and buy this stuff at the stores, we get them online, whatever it is, one of the things that drives me crazy is I open up the box and I'm like, okay, great, I got all this stuff. And then I go to buy a game, or I go to do something, and I'm like, oh, I don't have the right controllers. I need these types of adapters. Mike, can you kind of just help me understand, like in the box of these devices, is there anything you'd recommend on top of what's in the box, besides just your standard what's in it?
Yeah, absolutely. You're pretty much going to find the same thing in the box for all of these. They're going to come with the console itself, an HDMI cable, a power cable, one controller. The PlayStation has a stand so you can put it sideways or up.
Mhm.
And for the most part, that's everything you need. What you are going to want to get is if you ever want to play online, any online games, play with other people, you're going to need to get a PlayStation Plus, Xbox Live, or Switch Online subscription. These are, I believe, for PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live, that's $60 a year. For Switch Online, it's $30 a year, I want to say.
Gotcha.
Yep, absolutely. And just to add, it's as far as what's in the box. It's also important to note that with the Switch specifically, it comes with one set of Joy-Cons, which is basically a left and a right, I guess controller, if you will. As far as that goes, there are certain games where you can have one person have one controller, one Joy-Con, and the other person have another. But if you are looking to buy for a family, for children, one thing to note is each of these systems is only going to come with one controller. So if you have multiple kids or users, if you will, in the house, it's always going to be important to make sure you have a spare controller or two, just so that way you don't have any fights breaking out over who gets to handle the next gen console on Christmas morning. For sure,
no one argues in our family at all about anything.
Oh, then perfect. You just need the one.
So we're good. They share the way they should share. So if we were to look, if someone were to have a spot dedicated for a console in their family room or whatever, what would you recommend that spot have?
Well, I mean, one thing to start is, as far as taking advantage of what Xbox and Sony have to offer, you're going to want a 4K television. They will still output, obviously, at 1080p, but to get really the full next generation feel, you are going to want that 4K TV. Those have come down obviously a lot in price over the years, where you can still get like an entry level 4K TV that's going to handle what both the Xbox and the PlayStation are going to put out. They usually start off at around, I'd say for like a 50-inch, you'd probably be looking at anywhere from like $350 to $400 as like a starting point. I would imagine, a lot of people may already have, a 4K device like television in the house, but if you don't, if you're looking to have that, dedicated space for your new gaming console, you're going to definitely, start off by wanting a 4K TV. As far as the Switch goes, that's still outputting at 1080p. So, any HD TV that you have will handle that just fine.
Great. Cool. Mike, so what I'm going to do quick is just ask you, before we get into some other questions we got here, what is your favorite device? Or if you could just snap a finger and have it show up in your house, what would you be wanting this season, and why?
So I got to be honest, I have a Nintendo Switch, and it's my favorite game console that I have ever owned.
Really?
Absolutely. You can look at the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X. Those are your super powerful, really amazing looking, top of the line graphics, all of that. But I think you just get a different experience from the Nintendo Switch. You can play with it portable. You can also dock it and put it to your TV. So it's, if I want to go to bed and play with it, I can. And you just get games on it that you can't get anywhere else. There's no Mario Kart on PlayStation. You just can't get that experience anywhere else.
Yeah. I understand that, man. I loved that game. I mean, I just played for hours, just hours.
Yeah, and people like to say that maybe Nintendo games they're family oriented or they're only for kids, but I am almost 30 years old and I still love all of those games.
It also brings out the kid in us a little bit. I mean, I'll never forget when I was in college, a few years ago, holy cow, we would have tournaments, like multiple house tournaments. And we used to play Bond, 007 one-shot kill tournaments. I mean, it brought a bunch of people together. We had to physically be in the same place, but it's still competitive. It's still fun.
For sure.
Josh, on your side, what do you think, man?
Man, I don't want to be the voice that echoes, but yeah, I'm actually also going to back Mike on the Nintendo Switch as my personal favorite. As far as the next gen consoles go, if I didn't have a Switch, I would probably be leaning more towards the PlayStation 5. But for me personally, I do have to mirror what Mike said. The Nintendo Switch definitely has a lot of the games that I grew up with as a kid, with Mario and Donkey Kong and Pokemon. Just having all of those titles, it's definitely nostalgic for sure, which is what Nintendo I think does very well. And another thing Nintendo does well is they're never afraid to try something different when it comes to making their consoles. Like if you look at just even the last few iterations they had the Wii, and having just the, I guess, the nunchuck controllers and the Wiimotes, and bringing that like level of I want to say like pseudo realism. Like how many grandparents or older folks that may not have been necessarily interested in gaming ended up buying a Nintendo Wii so they could play Wii Sports and bowl with their kids or their grandkids.
For sure.
And even the Wii U, which was right after the Wii, having the gamepad, to play games where you could have it on your TV or have just the portable gamepad, which I think kind of led them to where they are with the Switch now. But they're never afraid to try anything different. And, a lot of people may look down on that, but I actually think it's, really cool that they're always willing to take a risk, even if it goes against what I guess most people would consider, a console norm, if you will. But again, if it wasn't for my Switch that I've grown to love fondly over the last few years, if I had to pick a next gen console for this holiday season, I'm probably going PlayStation 5 personally.
Cool. Awesome. So if we were to say, people, they may not go into as much detail when they're going through the process of evaluating what would be best. If you were to bring one of these devices into your house, how could you, what's sort of the criteria, the easy criteria, the low-hanging fruit that you could say, listen, if these are all true about my family and my household, you should go with this device. If you were to pick a couple of those, I'll start off with Mike, your thoughts. We'll go with the Switch on your side. What would be a couple, like 2 or 3 points that would say, hey, if these are true with you, you should lean towards the Switch if you are not interested in spending a ton of time investigating?
Certainly, yeah. If you want, I would say an easier experience, a more family friendly experience, yeah, or even an experience where you can hand the Switch off to your kid and kick them off the TV so that you can do what you want. The Nintendo Switch is a really good option. You're always going to have those kind of family friendly Nintendo games to lean back on as something that's going to be fun for them. The other systems do have games for all ages, but you kind of know what you're getting with Nintendo branded games a lot of the time.
Gotcha.
On the other end, if you have slightly older kids, they're getting to be teenagers, the PlayStation or the Xbox might just be a better suit for them. It's going to have games like Call of Duty and God of War, Halo on the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
They might be more interested in more mature experiences like that.
Understood. Is that something that those only, the Xbox and the PlayStation only provide connectivity to the outside world, or does a Switch as well bring people together in different places?
Josh, you probably know a little bit more about that than I do.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, as far as the Switch goes, and all video game consoles, the ability to play, I guess cross console or cross, device, if that's what you're asking, it's for the most part, it's going to be game specific. So there are certain titles out there where even if you have a Switch or even if you have a PlayStation or an Xbox, you're still going to be able to play with your friends in one way or another, or
Okay.
play with the outside world. All the systems will have the ability to go online and connect out to the internet, and you can play online with people just depending on the game. Certain games are obviously going to be specifically single player, and certain games are definitely going to have multiplayer experiences. But as far as the ability to play with your friends, if you have let's say your kid, you get your kids a Nintendo Switch, and they're looking to play like Fortnite or something with their friends who happen to have an Xbox, that can happen because specific games have the ability for you to play cross console with others. So in a nutshell, it's specific, so it's going to be game specific. And yeah, I mean, that's really all there is to say. But as far as connecting to the outside world and playing online, all the systems will be able to do that. If you're looking to play, against others, as long as the game has multiplayer and you have that, online subscription, you'll be able to play. If you're looking to play with your friends and it's, a difference of console, it's going to be game specific at that point.
Great. Thank you.
Just to chime in, that is a really good point, though. If you're looking to choose a console for your kids, the biggest thing for them might be, what do their friends have? They're probably going to want the same thing. It just makes it a lot easier to play together. They might be able to share games. That's probably what they're going to want.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point, Mike. It actually segues us pretty well into kind of like, I know for myself, I'm not gonna be able to protect my kids from social media and all these things going on. And it's a very scary thing when they're talking about doing all of these different apps. Roblox is a new one. And, while I can give them rules to kind of follow, I still get nervous. And your point here is that, hey, if I know their friends are playing this, at least I have an idea of who they're online with. If we're getting into that situation, let's talk about it a little bit deeper. Like, what are some of the risks that you would face getting this device, not just from hey, my kid's going online for something, but like, what are some of the risks or some challenges you may find, hardware wise, house wise, and also security wise, I guess you'd say?
I mean, I guess I'll start it off. Making sure, first off, if you are going to be connecting, out to the internet, that you have, a secure Wi-Fi network. Whether that's making sure you have, a router, or just a Wi-Fi device that you have password protected with a secure password is always important, not just in the gaming world, but in the just the online world in general.
Mhm.
Each console itself has the ability to implement parental controls, essentially. So if you do have younger kids and you're looking to restrict things such as, hey, I only want my child to be playing from the hours of 5 to 7 o'clock during the week, and then the other time's going to be focused on school, you can set that up. If you want to give them more time to play on the weekends, you can certainly do that as well. The biggest thing as far as risk, it's going to be the same risk with anything that connects online. And I think I may not have kids myself, but I do think the conversation you have with your kids up front is going to be the most important. You want to set boundaries and set what you expect from them when they are online, because there's all sorts of people online, and if you do have that conversation first, I think you're definitely going to be setting yourself up for a better experience than if you don't. But like I said, each console does have parental controls that can control whether or not they're able to make purchases on the online store. You can restrict that. You can restrict certain areas of like voice chat. So if you're looking to prevent your kid from hearing the 40-year-old guy swear at them over online, you have the ability to kind of mute that out.
I'm 40, right?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. So you're not swearing at your kids online.
Just joining in, Johnny. Just watching what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. No, but really, like each console, they definitely they spend a lot of time making sure that they have systems that integrate with their consoles, so you as a parent can still have control over your child's device and setting those boundaries.
Right. Yeah, I know it's definitely a point of concern, because at this point, I know from a fact my kids personally know a ton about technology, and they can get places that you may not think of, and they're talking to people who have circumvented their parental controls or something like that. So it's very important, because a lot of parents, they just don't know what their kids know. It's just the way it is. We didn't grow up at the same time. So Mike, what about like on the Wi-Fi side or the internet side? How does somebody know if they have what they need for that system to perform better?
Certainly. Any internet that you have is probably good enough, as long as you have like Spectrum or Verizon or something like that. Something like DSL or dial-up is not going to work. It's not going to get you the experience that you want.
Yeah.
The only other thing to check is going to be if you still have like a 10-year-old Wi-Fi router, you might want to replace that. It's probably not going to perform very well. It's not going to download fast. It's not going to provide a consistent connection enough to have like a really good gaming experience if you're playing online. So if you do have like an old Wi-Fi router, would be a good idea to replace that. The PlayStation, Xbox, both can be wired, and that's always going to get you the best experience.
Wired is, the best experience. What about if you're running multiple devices off the same router? You definitely need to have something that's a little more juicy. Are those
for
like
sure? If you've got,
oh,
you cut out there.
Oh, sorry. Did you think like in the $150 range? Is that like a device you could look to spend?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're looking to replace it, something in the $150 to $200 range. Netgear Nighthawks are really good. I always recommend those. If you're running a lot of devices on the Wi-Fi, you need a big, beefy wireless router that can handle all the traffic.
Understood. Yeah, and then usually the ones that come with your provider, either Time Warner or Verizon, probably not your best bet. And you're
some are good and some are not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're gonna pay for those monthly, $10 a month or something like that.
Yeah, and who wants to pay the rental fee on it?
Who wants to pay a rental fee?
Um,
So,
if
so
I may, actually, real quick,
Yeah, go ahead,
just
Josh.
to kind of expand on the networking point. If you are looking at a router, most routers nowadays are going to be dual band. But if you do have the option between a non-dual band and a dual band router, I would definitely stress to get the dual band router. What that means is it has two separate, bands that can kind of differentiate where certain traffic and certain devices are going to go. So you can put your maybe your lesser used devices, like if you have like a cell phone that you connect to your Wi-Fi network at home, or even just like your, if you have like a Nest device or anything for like Google Home, you can put that on the 2.4 gigahertz band, which is typically the band that gets utilized less, I guess you would say.
Mhm.
And then you have your 5 gigahertz band, which is meant for your beefier internet needs, such as streaming devices or even for online game connectivity. The 5 gigahertz band is definitely where you'll house those devices. And it's important to note that both the Xbox Series X and S and the PlayStation 5, they do both support 5 gigahertz bands, where the Nintendo Switch still only supports 2.4 gigahertz.
Gotcha. Great. Thank you.
And complicated as that may sound, most new routers that you purchase now, they will automatically put your device on the band that makes the most sense, that's going to give them the best connection. It just combines them and does that for you. So you don't
Understood.
even really have to worry about it as long as you have
Yeah,
a
it's like
modern
an
router.
auto selection.
Correct.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. Great point. So let's talk to the point about the games. We've got hopefully enough information here for you to determine what kind of console you want. I know my son loves Minecraft. My daughter loves Minecraft. They know a ton about Minecraft. They have Minecraft shirts, pillows. His room is going to be Minecraft. So it's important to know what your kid's favorite game is, and like you said, Mike, what their friends are playing, so you don't get kind of shut out there. So if we're talking about favorite games, what are some? We're going to go into some topics here from a family style game. Mike, if you can give me a game that you recommend, Josh, you could give me one that you would recommend, and then we'll move on to some other areas.
Sure. Family friendly game. First one I'll always bring up is Mario Kart. Mario Kart 8 is the most recent one on the Nintendo Switch.
Wow, we're at 8. All right, cool.
Yeah,
Josh,
absolutely.
what do you think?
If we're talking, just with the Nintendo Switch, yeah, I'm gonna, agree with Mike and say Mario Kart is definitely the way to go when it comes to the Nintendo Switch. It's great family friendly game. As far as the Xbox and the PlayStation side of things, as far as family games go, there is a a large catalog of the Lego series of games where you can find pretty much anything you can think of. They made a like a Lego game for it. So if your kids are into Star Wars, there's Lego Star Wars games. If they're into the Avengers, they made a Marvel's Avengers for Lego as well. Jurassic World. So I know with family games, I definitely think it is going to be more or less a single player experience for those type of games. But they do have that family friendly atmosphere, and they're definitely
Great.
made for for kids and families for sure.
Awesome, great, that's good stuff. All right, so if I'm an individual and I like to kind of be segmented off from everybody else by myself, I want to get deep into a game and really, really focus. What are a couple
Sure.
ideas there from each system that you would be looking at?
You want to go, Mike, or you want me? Okay, up to you.
Yeah, I'll start since you
All
just
right,
started.
sure.
Go, Mike,
Sure.
go, Mike.
2 games on the PlayStation that you can get really deep into. Spider-Man Miles Morales, released on the PlayStation 5.
Mhm.
The original Marvel Spider-Man is still on PlayStation 4. You can pick that up as well. Those are a game that you can play for quite a while and sink your teeth into. The other one that came out on the PlayStation recently was God of War, which was also really good.
Awesome. Josh, what you got?
Again, to echo what Mike says, as far as I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, so if you're looking for a single player game to definitely have on the PlayStation 5, Spider-Man Miles Morales is definitely a way to go. It's a standalone version of Spider-Man that is centered around Miles Morales, where the Marvel Spider-Man that released earlier, I believe last year. That was focused more on Peter Parker, but also just a fantastic game from top to bottom. And if you're a Spider-Man fan, you'll definitely you'll have a good time with it for sure. As far as Xbox goes, currently for the Series X, they don't actually have any launch titles because Halo Infinite was delayed until next year. But if you're looking for just like an Xbox game to last you a long time, sink your teeth into, I would probably recommend the Halo Master Chief Collection, which includes the first few iterations of Halo on them. So you kind of get multiple games all into one. They all support multiplayer as well. So if you do want to throw it back to the old days of Halo, you can certainly do that. Also, one thing to kind of keep in mind is as far as Microsoft goes, they actually put a lot of value into their Games Pass, which is something I would definitely recommend if you, as a consumer, do go the route of Xbox. Xbox Games Pass Ultimate, it's $15 a month. It includes your online play, so your Xbox Live Gold membership is included in that. It also includes just a giant library of titles that you can just download at will right onto your device and start playing. They've expanded that value to go even further where they're now bringing EA involved. EA typically is the company that handles a lot of the sports games, so like your Madden, your FIFA, those types of games. They've expanded their Games Pass to include that as well. So I think for $15 a month, if you don't want to just commit to a $60 game, you can pay a monthly fee to Microsoft that it would include your online play and would include a giant library of titles that you can just pick up and play. And if you want to stick with it, sweet. If not, there's tons of other titles you can go ahead and play. So I think from a value standpoint, and just kind of, I guess if you're looking for games to play, there's going to be something for everyone on Microsoft Games Pass for sure.
Yeah, I'm a big sports guy. I love NHL games. Never thought I'd say it, but I love soccer games as well.
For sure.
Very, very competitive. And just the Madden games. I mean, I was back in the day with Tecmo Bowl and all those fun football games. And I'll tell you, man, it's come a long way since just picking up Bo Jackson and running through everybody.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say touchdown Bo Jackson. So there's two things. I always think of touchdown Thurman Thomas and touchdown Bo Jackson whenever you.
Oh, did he, baby?
Tecmo Bowl.
Cool. So you just kind of mentioned the subscription versus buy. So there's options there. Kind of just to summarize this, if someone were looking to get some of these things, they want to go out and buy something. Mike, we'll start with you. Where can they go to get just some basic information? I mean, do they just Google reviews on each one, or do you have like a specific place that you trust that's not, completely geeked out? They can understand what it is. And then two, Josh, what should be their strategy trying to get their stuff? So, Mike, do you have any resources that someone would tap into?
The best places are going to be, look at all your local retailers, look at Walmart, look at Target, look at Best Buy, just see what they have on their website about it, see what people are saying in the comment sections, see if they're putting out deals, look at Black Friday ads. That's going to give you some good information. There are, for more savvy people, there are like Twitter accounts that you can follow that have more information on the stuff. If you're willing to look for it.
Gotcha. And then Josh, if someone wanted to make a decision, pull the trigger, pull out the card, and
Yeah.
buy something, what's their strategy over the next few months?
I don't want to, you're putting me on the bad news, but honestly, you're probably going to have to get a little lucky. The reality of the matter is, global pandemics kind of, shook up supply chains as we get closer to the holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have a lot of people, honestly, with just I don't want to say a lot of time on their hands, but they are finding themselves locked down and in the house more. So they're thinking, I need something to pass the time. And if I'm going to be locked in the house, these new consoles came out. I kind of want one. So supply and demand is definitely taking its hold for sure. One thing that I would recommend, I know Mike mentioned Twitter. I am a huge Twitter nut. I love Twitter. It's my social media platform of choice, and I do have a few accounts that I follow, and they will always post a link to which retailers have stock when they go live. So I would recommend following them if you do have a Twitter. If not just for next gen consoles, they also tweet out any sort of great deals on games too. So the two that I would recommend, it's Wario64, just WARIO, and then the numbers 6 and 4, or at Video Game Deals, all one word, no underscores or anything like that. Like I said, they're both going to give you, up to the second whenever they see, hey, Target Online, they got them in stock. Go now. Here's the link. That's going to be the best way. Alternatively, now that we're in the holiday season, like Mike said, I would definitely pay attention to the ads, especially for Black Friday, and even just the weekly ads that come out on Sunday for like Target, Best Buy, Walmart, all of them. Because typically during the holiday season, when there is a new console launch, they will have, guaranteed minimums, if you will, where, in the Best Buy ad, it'll say like, hey, we'll have, minimum of 4 Sony PS5s starting Sunday. So then you just gotta, get out there early, line up and get there. As far as the Nintendo Switch goes, like Mike had mentioned earlier, it's been around for a few years now. So finding a Nintendo Switch or a Nintendo Switch Lite, definitely going to be the easier of the consoles to get. But if you are looking for that next gen, like I said, I would follow those specific Twitter accounts and definitely pay attention to the ads that come out. As far as online retailers, I found that both the Microsoft store directly as well as the PlayStation store directly, they have had the most consistent drops of consoles. Usually it's daily. And there's, they come up at random times, and you just got to kind of hop in queue and hope that, you're one of the ones that made it in line on time.
So make your decision now. There's definitely
For
people
sure.
trolling those sites that want to buy them and then sell them on eBay, which unfortunately it's the way the world works.
It sucks, but yeah,
Yeah,
scalpers took a hold for
goes,
sure.
man. They're scalping that stuff. So make sure you decide what you want. Let us know if you got any questions. Obviously, we'll try and help you out the best we can, even though we're not doing much with residential. We're still here to help everybody. So
For sure.
So give us a ring if you need some help. If you have some questions, we'll help steer you in the right direction. Anything else you guys want to add to this? I know this is probably one of the coolest topics we've ever talked about at Copeland.
For sure.
Usually it's boring stuff, but anything else you want to leave our audience here with on our first video podcast / whatever you want to call this?
Yeah, I mean, I'll thank everyone for obviously, listening. This is a super exciting topic. Like I said, I'm really excited that, the next gen consoles are here, just because this time it's such a big leap from the consoles that have been around over the last, couple decades. This is kind of like the leap from 2D to 3D, basically, at this point.
Sure.
There's definitely a lot to be excited about. And, long have I been a PC gamer, and I've obviously been spoiled on, no load times and having state-of-the-art graphics and stuff like that. And Sony and Microsoft, they've done one heck of a job getting you basically a supercomputer for, only $500, which is really quite a feat.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of cool tech on the inside. There's a lot to get excited about, and the consoles are only going to get better as time goes on, and developers can kind of tailor their games towards the brand new systems. And like I said, I'm jazzed. It's a fun holiday season. We may be in the middle of a pandemic, but that doesn't mean you can't have any fun. So,
For sure.
like I said, definitely jazzed about these next gen consoles for sure.
Awesome. Mike, what about you, man?
Yeah, he pretty much got everything. I think games are really exciting. They only keep getting better. They're really, if you haven't looked at games in a long time, they're like big budget movie experiences. They have awesome art and narratives and music. There's so much more than just games that kids play. They're real forms of art and entertainment. And it's with new stuff coming out, that's always the most exciting time.
Awesome. Yeah. For me, I mean, I grew up, I did sports and I did video games. And as long as you have a healthy balance, it actually enhances so much from creativity to reflexes, hand-eye coordination, and things like that, motor skills. So it's not a horrible thing to play some video games. Just make sure you got that balance away. And the last thing I'm going to say is join in, have some fun with your kids. This may be it may be a great platform to actually interact with your kids where other ways, just don't seem to work. So having that opportunity to spend some quality time together, some of these games you can talk, have a conversation with while you're playing. You can learn about losing. You can learn about your kids' competitiveness and tons of stuff. So don't be afraid to get involved with these video games. Just may not get online as quickly as they can.
For sure.
They may beat up on you pretty quick. So
yeah, I honestly, just to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, games nowadays, they are social experiences. I know myself as a gamer, part of the thing that has kept me the most sane, during a pandemic is just knowing that, after I get off of work, I can be online and chat with my friends, and we can all play games together as if nothing's really changed. I think games have, like you said, they've come a long way, and how Mike mentioned, they are, very cinematic in their experiences, and they're, narrative and story driven. There's also, the ability with those multiplayer games of, just hanging out with your friends and just having a good time exploring or being competitive with one another. And communication on video games has gotten to the point where it just kind of feels like you're in the room with someone. So definitely an awesome social aspect of gaming for sure.
Yeah, I really want to bring something up with the social aspect. People, we really do rely on that for socializing, for playing with our friends, for meeting new people even. So, if you do go online, if your friends go online, you should all be nice to each other.
Hey, boy, Mike. That's right.
Don't yell at them. Don't be mean to your teammates, whether you know them or not. Even if they're bad, don't be mean. Try to help them. Be nice to each other.
We're all human.
Right, man. Hey, communication is communication. It's just, you got to know your audience. You got to know the platform and what's right and what's wrong. I love it. Great dropping, Mike. Well, thanks everyone for joining us for a little bit today. We may have went a little bit longer than we anticipated, but hopefully we hit you with some good information. You can always follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, social media, Copeland, or we'll include some information when we post this to follow Mike, Josh, or myself on social media. We're going to try and do some more of this stuff, so we welcome you back. We're going to do some things that are residential versus business, but we are going to get into both sides, and hopefully we can help improve some people's lives. So with that being said, thank you for joining.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.